So today we're going to be talking about how to use some conditional formatting to make repeated entry look the way we want it to. And then that way it will kind of stand out a little bit more for us. So in this case, since I've been part of the pickleball gang, I would like the pickleball things to stand out on the calendar that Elizabeth makes to stand out a little bit more. So this is kind of what we're shooting for. This is what it starts as. So if you notice these aren't any kind of special text or color or anything. And we could, of course, just go through and change these one at a time. But since there are usually about a dozen or more of these in a given month, it might be worthwhile taking a look at the conditional formatting to see if we can do it all at once. We'll point out that we might encounter a few issues. So if you notice on this done version, we have several that look like this nice royal blue and a yellow. But you might notice that there are a couple that look a little funny, and we'll handle that as well. But just thought I'd make you aware of it to say, what might be going on and how can we fix it? Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about using the conditional formatting. Here, we're going to be using a new rule. So new rule. And in this case, I want to pay attention to text values. So I'm going to say format only cells that contain. And down here, it says format only cells with. And I have to check on this to say specific text because I want it to look for either the entire phrase for the pickleball group or maybe even just a little bit. So I'm going to say specific text containing, and since I noticed that PB is separate because it's for the pickleball, I can do that and keep it simple. So my format that I'm looking for is any cell that contains the letters PB. And then I have to just tell it how I want to format that. So I'm going to say format. And just like you have if you were in Word or PowerPoint or any other place in Excel, you have choices for the font color, the background, and the fill color. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the fill, or the background color, which is kind of like the highlight color. And blue is the background, and then the text is let's see if I think that's my blue. And then the font, I want that to be a specific color. So I'll choose that yellow here. Make sure that I chose that. Right. All right, unchoose that and say okay. So I've got the color scheme that I'm looking for, and now all I have to say is okay. Okay, now it worked, but you might notice that it only did the one, and you think, well, heck, I could have done the exact same thing by just choosing that and checking out the formatting myself. So let's go back into my conditional formatting, and I could have done this all at once, but I kind of want to point it out just in case you happen to do this yourself. So I'm going to say manage rules, and notice that this box here is indicating which boxes, which cells I'm going to apply this to. I really want it to use the entire calendar month. So if you notice that starts at, I'm going to say A1 or A7, actually A10. A10 through, and if I look over here, looks like Saturday is in the S column. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to say Z, A10 to Z, and let's go all the way down to 52, just to make sure we cover everybody. So now I'm having it look at this entire range instead of just the one cell that I happen to be on. So let me go ahead and hit apply. And happiness. Look at that. So in a lot less time than it would have taken me to go through and do all those individually, I now have all of them at least partially set up the way I want. So before I talk about fixing this over here, just going to let you think for a second. Maybe we'll discuss what you think you might be able to do to fix these guys, because it looks like a lot of them are looking in the exact way we want them to. So let's think for a second, pause maybe, and think about how we could fix those. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to think about this. What might have been going on is that Excel has the ability to have this being one box, right? But we've seen previously that if we wanted to have multiple cells merged together, we could do that. We could highlight multiple cells and merge them. So it looks like a lot of these may have already done that, where the whole width of the box has been merged in one thing. However, a few of these did not have that already done. So let me go ahead and do that. And I can right click, and this little icon is the merge and center. And if I didn't want it to be middle justified, I could just do that. And like down here, I'll go ahead and do the same thing. And instead of choosing the merge and center, I'll just say merge cells. And that did it so it didn't mess around with centering or left or right. So now I have all those done pretty quickly. And that really wasn't too hard to do. If I ever want to go back and check out that rule that I have in place, I just go back to conditional formatting, manage rules, and it tells me all the details. So look for a cell that contains PB, here's what I want it to look like, and here's the range that I want it to go with. And it apparently did some more work on that, but all I had to do was type A10 through Z52. All right, that's it. Hope that serves you well, and maybe you have some situations where you want certain things to stand out differently than others. And I think this is kind of nice, for instance, that the J. Woodward library is right next to that, and it really does make those two stand out very differently. And then perhaps this was quicker than going through and selecting each of those pickleball calendar events and changing the formatting.